Hello everyone, my name is Amber Leon, and this is my Module 5 presentation. So our first question was, to what extent are transitional distance theory and community of inquiry relevant to current and future online learning? Well, first off, the flexibility of learning. We're able to utilize time more effectively now due to the fact that it's online. So there is no, a typical college student running a class to try to make it at 9 o'clock a.m. when you may have not had a ride to school. And so it makes it, it's more flexible, and for the professor themselves, let's say they have family that is in town, they're able to utilize their time and their place of lecture in a more flexible way. Secondly, it's cost effective. So if you think about it, some students travel 45 minutes to get to college, to get to in-class learning. Some students travel, let's say 2 hours. And that's pretty costly. And as far as having to live on campus, that's very costly as well. Now, as far as learning, as far as distance learning goes, you're not having to pay for all these extra materials. It's all online. You can pull up anything online and be able to use that for your lecture. You don't need the additional props. Thirdly, unstructured place of study. So what does that mean? I can be in California and learn from a professor that's in Maine. So now it allows for professors to teach anywhere. And as far as students, we can learn anywhere. And it's becoming a widely known thing now that we've been going through the COVID pandemic, which has forced most educators to have to go online and continue teaching because students need to continue to learn. We are in those prime months of education. We are in these prime months of having to teach these children, teach early childhood, elementary, middle school, high school, college, and so forth. And so with that being said, with online learning, it made it possible for teachers to continue to provide services to students. Yes, some of us were displaced. Most of us were displaced as far as school goes, but we were still able to learn. Professor availability. So now this allows the professor to do, let's say, a Zoom call and talk with a student about a situation they may not understand. They may not understand this algebraic problem and they need some help. Well, now we have Zoom, now we have Google Classroom or Google Meet, different ways to be able to communicate with our professor without having to meet them during, let's say, office hours where they're having to stay in school. The student has to travel to that place and then hope they can talk to the professor if the professor has enough time. But now with distance learning and online learning, you can now make a meeting online, and it can be at whoever's discretion. And lastly, natural disasters. So let's say hurricanes. We have all faced hurricanes and we've been displaced. But with online learning, distance learning, we're still able to do our work. well, most of us can still do our work if you have Wi-Fi, if you have the resources, you can still continue to learn, do your work, and not be bothered with the fact that you're trying to get to a university that may be flooded, a university that may have a tree gone through it. So, to answer the question, to what extent are transitional distance theory and community of inquiry relevant to current and future online learning? Well, that's how it's related to current and future online learning. It's able to provide schooling for these bullets that I've gone over. It's able to provide the technology that we need to also be able to learn online. What types of theories would be more relevant and useful with the advances of computer and internet technologies? So for this one, I kind of found that we have e-learning, which right here we have the instructional strategies, pedagogical models, and learning technologies. So for here, for learning technologies, we have asynchronous, synchronous communication tools, multimedia tools, web authoring tools, course management systems. We have instructional strategies, which we can collaborate, articulation, reflection, role-playing, exploration, problem solving with e-learning. So, and you also have pedagogical models like open and flexible learning, distributed learning, knowledge building communities. And with that being said, these are what the advances of computer internet technology are becoming too. We have blended learning, and now pretty much anyone can access anything on an iPad, a computer. So those are all of the different advances of computer and internet technology we have. We also have you can do e-training, you can do drills and practices like it states right here. Associative focus on individual learning through association and reinforcement. We can now we can do more reinforcing with online learning. We can send our students more worksheets or more videos to watch to help them understand the lessons. For here, you have learning through social interaction, learning in context. So now we can collaborate with anybody in the world about different situations. I could have a math class with another teacher and students where we're both talking about math, but we both have different perspectives of it. So now all these children were able to come together and collaborate on different ways they understand the situation. And so this would be kind of like experimental problem-based role play where they're talking about one subject and they're talking about one situation and they're talking about a different situation. Thirdly, you have constructivist, building on prior knowledge. So this would also be like that inquiry, learning, resource-based knowledge, which is another part of, advancing and learning. Lastly, you have the connectivist learning in a network environment, so we can reflect and dialogue learning, personalized learning. So, a teacher's instructional design is only as good as the teacher can deliver it. And so with that being said, the teacher needs to see how they can connect with their students in order for their design to be effective. So with that being said, to to go back and revisit the question, what types of theories would be more relevant and useful with the advances of computer and internet technologies? Well, it would be, the design of your course, being able to put in more experimental problem situations, and being able to associate your lessons with real world problems. That does conclude my presentation, and thank you for listening.